we're back. I think everything's good. Everything looks green. Let's try this again. So, yeah. Pete's away on the ski trip. I've got full control of his streaming setup now. So here we are. I have a TXCP that I have not built yet. And this is it. This is how it comes. It comes in this nice little case. It's a white TXCP brass weight. I'll take it out. This thing is heavy. Probably not gonna have many people after that little snafu, but whatever. Move this out of the way. So this is the board. It is a compact 1800, and like I was saying, it's got a full brass weight below, and this one's already partially taken apart. I've been playing with a case, doing stuff to it, but it's a 3-piece case. You got this top part, then you have this awesome fingerprint magnet, aka coated brass plate. So they're switch openable. It's got openings for LEDs. I don't have LEDs to put in there. Should have thought about that. Maybe I'll find some. What's up, Silicon Art? And then yeah, and then you have the base, which is clearly the heaviest of all. With that brass weight, which this part alone has to be a solid 6 pounds maybe. So yeah, so the idea of this build, it's an old build. It's the Buette themed build, so I got a little Buette sticker that we may not put on there. I will be using Taro GMK, so it's a purple key set. The keys are already out, but you can see what the color is like. Light purple and dark purple all throughout. I actually have the ones that go with this build right here. And then I'm going to be using the new Seal Helio switches. And these are actually, I've already looped these. I did it the other day while watching a different stream. And these are a silent linear switch. 67 gram bottom out, I think is what Seal does. And these are lubed with the Tribosys 3204, which you can find on the One Up Keyboard site. Very smooth switch, especially with the lube, clear housing, and then they have the little silent stuff in them. So I don't know, here right next to the microphone. I don't think you can hear it very much, but very excited. I was a huge fan of the Telios, so the silent ones are gonna be perfect. And then I'll show you guys the PCB. I was playing around with this already, so it's got the GMK screw-in stabilizers installed, but this is a Liku PCB with underglow RGB, which I won't be using at all. I already tested it, so it works. I know it works, but these stabilizers are not clipped or lubed, so I'm actually gonna unscrew them and start with that. So let's do it. I'm gonna move this out of the way. Oi. Put it with the rest of the stuff. Plate. And I'm just gonna have this off to the side. Oof. All right. Let's see here. So for those of you not familiar with the screw-in stabilizers, let me switch here to action cam if I can fit my foot on this thing that Pete's built. There we go. So as you can kind of see right here, there's little screws that go on the bottom. where normally this would just be 2 clips. You slide in the front and go in the back. This one, for the back one, has a tiny little Phillips head screw that holds it all together. So I'm going to take those off so we can go ahead and lube and clip the stabilizers, because otherwise they're pretty rattly on their own. And I'll be using the trusty iFixit kit to damage everything. And just gonna randomly start taking stuff off. So they're not supposed to. It really comes down to the PCB design and how tight everything is. I haven't actually tested it. I could see if I have some washers to put in there. I don't know that I do, but I could run downstairs and check. But at first glance, it doesn't seem like there's anything that should short the LED pads. Maybe I'll show you again. That one that I was actually on is the only one that seems like it touches 2 pads at once. And I'll do that in a sec. So let me get these off. But I'll go through with you here and show you before I finish taking it out. So let me tilt this camera down a little bit if I can. Alright, so that is for the 7U that I'll be using. That mount with the screw, as you can see, there's the 2 LED pads. So when the screw is in the hole, it does look like it's going to short it. So I might do one of 2 things. Just get a little square of electrical tape and just use that sort of as a washer. None of the other ones make contact with the LED pads, so I am not very concerned with that. I built a bunch of boards with the GMK stabs, and I've not run into any issues. So this might be the first. Who knows? You never know. But let me keep going here. That's that top one, bottom one. Let's shift over here. So how's everybody doing this lovely Sunday? We were supposed to get a bunch of snow, but it all turned into rain. So any plans that I had that were canceled because of the snow, I ended up not having anything to do. And hence we're streaming. Still one more over here. So this one actually looks suspect as well. If you can see it here, it is also in between 2 LED pads, so I might have to finagle something in there. I see we got 10 people on stream. Thank you guys for stopping by after all the technical issues. Make sure you drop a line on chat so I know who's here. Make sure you give us a thumbs up just to help get some of those people back that we're missing because of technical difficulties. I really don't know what was going on. I was getting some weird artifacting. On my end, I had different artifacting, but then on your end, I saw that you guys were seeing nothing but lines across the video. So that was weird. I tried to restart once, it didn't go away. I did a full shutdown of the computer and then it stopped doing it. So hopefully it doesn't start up again. And this is probably the second largest board I've built. Oh, did he too? I wasn't around for last week's stream. I'll have to talk to him about it. Alright. Midstream. Well, hopefully we don't get any midstream stuff. Because that would stink. Alright, sorry, it's a little. Let me go back to the overhead. So this is where we're at. I'm gonna have a fun time remembering what just came out of here. Alright, that's for the 7U. Alright, put this down. So what I want to do is take these apart, see if I can find the lube. Where is Pete's lube? It's got all these, never mind, there it is. Big old thing. Alright. And little snips. Where are his snips? Did he have to stop and start the stream, or did he just keep going with it? Not seeing his little tools over here. One sec. Yeah, where is his little... He's got these little red snips. I don't know where he put them. Well, that's going to make this a little more difficult, isn't it? Not seeing anything. Everything's usually in his little toolbox here, but he did restart. Well, I'm just going to go fingers crossed. If it goes crazy again, I might just sign off and finish this offline. Man, I cannot find snips to cut these, to trim these. That's no bueno. Alright, hold on for a minute. I'm gonna get up and try to look around some more. Some money in here. Tweezers. Nope. Definitely no. Pete, where did you put your tools? These are totally not the right tools to do this with. That's not gonna do it. Huh. I wonder where those things went. Yeah, I'll leave it running. I won't put the BRB screen. I'm gonna run to see if they're in the other room. I will be right back. Success. been moved downstairs. Let me switch to action cam here. So for those kind of familiar, if I can get this thing to focus on here, these little thinner legs tend to cause a spongy landing. I like just a solid stiff landing, so I'm going to trim those off. A lot of people do it, and they can either cause scratchiness, among other things. So just cut them so it's flush, and that's it. Just got to do that for all of these. FYI, this is my, well, probably one of my least favorite parts of builds is having to mod the stabs. Let's see. So I'm still undecided if I want to go with a 7U spacebar. Most of my builds I do 7U, but this one in particular, the right side, so right control, right alt, the way it lines up on the PCB is that you have a 1.5, 1.5, then the 7U spacebar. And then you have two 1Us. I don't know that I like the way that looks. I think that if I do a 6 1/4 spacebar, I would be able to do the 3 1 1/4 on the left, and then 2 1 1/4 on the right. I'm not doing the math in my head. I'm just guessing that's what it allows me to do. We can take a look at the PCB and try that out when we get to lining up the switches. I have to see. Can't tell how many people are on here. Let's see. Like scared to play around on the computer just because I don't want artifacts to start up again. There we go. That should do it. Is that telling me how many people are here right now? I got 12 people on. Sweet. Guys, make sure to hit that like button, and if it's your first time here, I am JB, JB1830 on chat and stuff. I am not skiwithpete. This is not my channel. I'm just hijacking the channel to do one of my builds. I am one of the mods on the OneUp Discord, and I help OneUpKeyboards.com with some of their day-to-day activities, posting online and new products and stuff. So that is why I am here today. Ski with Pete is actually skiing, which is surprising. Doesn't do that very often anymore. All right, cool. So these are all clipped. Many people do this in very different ways. Some people will dab the tip of the stab wire as they insert it in. I feel like that gets a little bit messy. I actually like to reassemble everything together, rub some lube on the outside of the inner piece, and then actually pack lube with it installed, so you'll see me pressing it in a second, but I'm just going to reassemble these as quick as I can. And these can be a pain in the butt to get in sometimes. Cool. I'm going to lift this. I feel like I'm not going the right direction. There we go. That's a more comfortable spot. Cool. Line up here. Alright, so there's the first one assembled. Let's keep going. Oh man, so weird. So quiet in chat. Guess it happens. Cool. 2. And I think this has a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stabs. Like, let's try 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. 6 stabs. Cool. And this camera's still too low, isn't it? I feel like I'm just missing all my action over here. No. Did I not trim that? That's true. For a second, I thought I had not trimmed that. Alright. And the last one. So far they're pretty good. I had them, so I actually had the board semi-assembled, so the switches and everything were on the plate, and I had the keycaps on it after I lubed them just to check them. They're pretty good. They're definitely quieter than the Helios. As far as smoothness goes, I feel they're pretty much on par with new blacks. So the new retooled blacks, I do have a board with lubed retooled blacks with same thing, Tribosis 3204, what we have on the site, and they're great. So I'm super excited when it was all together without soldering it together. They're very, like I said, they're very smooth, nice sound. So they still have that deep sound. I guess you could say they're slightly mushier on bottom out because of the little rubber feet. but honestly, I'm using a brass plate with these, which for linears, a lot of people like them. I'd really prefer to be using a softer plate, but there was no softer plate options for the TXCP, so the softer landing I'm okay with. Otherwise, it's just like very, very solid. Alright, so I have all these done. I'll show you guys the way I like to do it without hitting the camera here. Let me see if can I lock this thing down? Maybe, maybe not. I don't want to bump it again. Alright, that's locked in. So unfortunately, I'm all out of super lube, but I do have this, this is 205, right? So this is just regular tube of 205, and what I like to do is on the outside, if I can get any to come out, this stuff is thick. I have used the 3204 as well when I have leftover for modding switches, but I did not do that this time. It works relatively well. So right now I'm just doing a little bit on the outsides. And then what I do is with the switch down, I'm just gonna press this right here and squeeze as much lube as that'll take. So you'll see I've packed it in relatively well. And I'll move it around to make sure it's not too crazy. There will be probably some excess that'll get pushed out. I'll get rid of that later. I feel like getting a good amount in there, it makes a world of difference. So you can see all the rattle is gone. Vintage blacks and a brass plate, yeah, I mean it's been like a go-to for anybody that's gotten into linears. I feel like just a brass plate with some sort of lube. I mean, vintage blacks. I actually haven't owned the vintage black board just because, at least, it still kind of is a pain in the butt to find them. I don't think they're worth the effort of getting vintage blacks, especially once the retooled blacks came out. They pretty much equal the vintage blacks in as far as smoothness. Still, people do it because it's cool to say, yeah, I got vintage blacks. Doom Apple, which board is that on? And for those of you just joining us, I'm just going through these stabilizers that I assembled. They're GMK screw and stabs. I am lubing them to keep them from rattling in order to have the smoothest type possible. The one good thing is that most of the times in all the boards, you still have some sort of access to the... Oh, really? Keep these. Sorry, I'm like way high on the camera, not even realizing. Not paying attention to what I'm doing. This is... Yeah, I don't want to have it too high. I might just go to the overhead so you can see me playing around here. Oof. That is the one thing I don't have yet. Do not have cherry palm caps. I really, really, really would love to get my hands on some, but again, it's the sometimes it's just too much trouble, or people want way too much money. And it's like, I know what I have. I'm like, well, sure, but it doesn't mean I want to pay that much for it. So someday it'll happen, but for now, I'm alright. GMK's pretty good. I don't mind Enjoy PBT sets. So for the time being, I will hold off on getting my hands on some Palm. Because for a little bit, everybody was hyped that there was other manufacturers, but they turned out to just not be as good as the OG stuff. So yeah, man. Get 'em. Cool. And I have another board. Probably be back with another stream later in the week. I have a LZ GHV2, another TKL, that I actually built with Telios, but I'm having an issue with a PCV just shorting out, or something's wrong with it. Couldn't figure it out, so I'm gonna desolder and switch. I have a second PCB that we're gonna switch to, so I'll be desoldering that later in the week. Are the Enjoy PBT not scooped? Or for the homing keys? What are they, barred? I thought they had scooped caps. Do they have scooped and barred? I think that's what it is, isn't it? Yeah, that they're definitely scooped, but yeah, I remember that the scoops are also barred. It's not too bad. The bar, I mean, I prefer the bars over nipples, if that's kind of like the choice that I have to make. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a choice. I really, like, other than like SA nipples that are ridiculously sharp. I could go any way. I mean, scooped is nice. They're, aesthetically probably the best. But like I said, I don't mind bars either, or any combination of them. Actually, the only ones that I hate, I really, really do not like the way DSA looks scooped. And they don't, I can't recall if they have, I think they have nipples, but I'd much prefer, I only use only boards I have with DSA on them are either planks, like 40%, which is not really necessary since the board is so small. You're only ever off by 1 key. And I do have a 60% that has DSA. That one's a little bit more of a pain when I'm not right on it, but I would still rather just have non-scoops, non-nippled DSA caps on there. Let's see, we got what, 12 people on. Everybody's shy today on chat. For those of you just joining in, I am in the process of lubing these GMK screw-in stabs. This is kind of an impromptu stream. We had some technical difficulties earlier. I just got bored and figured while I was here that I would do a stream. So I got a couple things that we're going to be looking out for when I install these screw-ins. Might get some electrical tape, cut some little squares to prevent these from shorting out. There's a couple pads on there that contact both LEDs, so they'll contact the positive and negative pads on the LEDs. I think these are alright. Might have to add a little bit more lube, but like I said, on most of these, it can be done after the fact. No, I did forget to do the outsides on this. I'll take your OG die subs. I got a couple winculus here. I'll go get my GHV2. It's a nice board. I'll probably change also the layout because I did what did I do? Did I do a split right shift? I got funky with it, and then I was like, yeah, that's too much. So the TKL, I think I prefer it to just be a regular layout. Let me go get that real quick and show it to you. Alrighty. So I have this board. Move this. Yeah, I mean, I'd be down with an ISO set. I have enough compatibility with my GMK stuff, so I have this. This is an LZ GHV2. So it's aluminum brass plate, so you can tell it's got looped telios. And then this thing is hefty. This is one giant brass plate on the bottom, which is completely ridiculous. But it's a very nice, smooth. The ano on this is flawless. You can hear it, very smooth. And these are telios. So if you can hear that, that'll be gone on the Helios. Like, there is none of that. And like, this is a very nice typing feel on these, and the sound is pretty good. These are GMK, white and black, so double shot ABS. But yeah, those OG die subs would probably sound pretty good on this. Wink, wink. Alright, let me move this back out of the way and continue the current build. Oh, look at this guy, Atari in the house. What's up, Atari? Long time no chat, buddy. Alright, so let's see. What do you think? A little square of electrical tape probably works, right? Well, the question is there electrical tape in this house? Am I going to have to cut some stickers? Not seeing anything here. That's not going to be it. You're at PAX. Nice. Well, go play some awesome games then. What are you doing here? No, that's more lube. Yo. I know he's got it somewhere. Maybe use a piece of heat shrink. That'd be funny. Can I heat shrink like the end of the screw? He's got some super tiny heat shrink around here. That could work. That'd be interesting to do. See, here's got some tiny heat shrink that I think I could snip to fit in the screws. Maybe. I don't know. Oh, you're mobile. Really? You should be able to. Oh, no, you're right. You have to type it out on mobile. It does not come up. So here, I'm going to switch to Action Cam and show you. So I have this super tiny heat shrink that actually manages to fit over the head of the screw. So I think if I trim it, they just heat shrink it in so it collapses over like the end of the threads. I should still be able to screw it on, and that'll prevent from shorting anything out. So I'm gonna go try to find the heat source. We'll do Atari. He's actually on vacation on a ski trip, which is why I am here today. I'm just taking over because I was bored and I have these boards that I had to do stuff and get them done. So just chill streams. I don't know if he has a lighter around here. I want to try this out. Definitely gonna burn my hand. But let's see. Eek. So trim that. Slide it over here. He's living up to his name for once. That looks like it might work. I'm gonna go try to find a lighter real quick and do this one test. I'll be right back. Yeah, I don't see one. cannot find a heat source. Well, Atari, enjoy your dinner. And then hopefully we'll see you back later. Let's say hi to your lady. Where, man, I don't know where anything is these days. I don't see the heat gun. Don't see a lighter. So it's supposed to be chill. I don't know where anything is. I will be right back. Ergodox EC has plugs for each switch, allowing the swapping of keys without having to solder or anything. Have you ever considered making a keyboard using these plugs? Frankenstein. If you are not familiar with one of keyboards, we actually do have what's known as what you're describing is known as a hot swap PCB. We do sell a 60%, so this is not one of the oneofkeyboards.com products. This was assigned by somebody else. It's part of a board that I'm building. But if you guys give me a minute, I am going to run downstairs, see if I can find the heat gun down there in order to try to get these heat shrink. And I'll bring one HSC up with me to show you guys. 1 second. Alright. And I'm back. Oh, I see Doom already put the link on. Basically, this one isn't a hot swap, but so that's this is a regular 60% size Frankenstein. That's a regular 60% size that you can build with this PCB, and this is our PCB, one of keyboards, and they do use hot swap. So I'm going to switch here to action cam. I'm going to show you, see these little black boxes on here? They're actually spring-loaded sockets. So when you insert your switch, it basically clamps on, and I'll show you here real quick. Let me grab one of these Helios. So you just line it up. I recommend that you do this pressed flat. You can't see me doing it here, but there we go. The reason for this is to prevent additional pressure on the hot swap, causing this to snap off the board. And that's it. That is installed and would be a fully functional switch. So, like I said, there's nothing to solder in the back. These boards, they will allow for LEDs, but the moment you solder in LEDs, we don't have sockets for LEDs. So you do lose that ability, but you have the underglow that comes standard on these boards, and again, that's a fully functional switch. See how silent that is? And you just pop it off. That's it. You do this with a plate. You could even run this without a plate if you use the PCB mount switches, or you can do both if you like pushing in lots of switches. But yeah, so we sell this board on this layout, which is a regular 60% layout. Alright, and I'm going to continue over here. I was able to find a little torch which has so many child locks, I forget how to use it. Let's see if I can get this fired up. I'm going to... Hey Philip, welcome to the stream. My name is JB. I'm actually crashing my friend's Pete stream. This is the Ski with Pete stream, but he is not here because he is out skiing. Because we're getting weather, good weather for that up here. There we go. Let's see how well these shrinks in there. So we are building a TXCP keyboard. You're very welcome, Krankenstein. Alright, so for those of you that weren't here earlier, there's a couple spots on this board where I have to put in these screws, but they contact metal parts. So I've used a little tiny piece of heat shrink just around the top of the screw, which we just torched. This is hard, it's not focusing very well. There you go. So now I have these, I guess, condomed screws that will hopefully prevent anything from shorting out. So from what we saw, we only needed to do 3, so I'm just gonna do 3 of these screws with the heat shrink. And in a second I'm going to show you, we have some new people on here, what it is I'm building. Hell yeah, this is more special. I'm also not building a one-up board, but we are building a very cool board. I am using one-up parts. So the board we're building is going to be using Helios, which are the new silent seal switches, as well as GMK Taro, which we sold at one-up keyboards. This was from a group buy that we helped support, and then sold additional key sets on the site. So yeah, it's kind of what you'd expect from a normal build if you aren't buying everything from one-up keyboards, because obviously we don't sell everything yet. But you can get your keyboard elsewhere and then get everything else you need to finish building the keyboard, like your stabilizers and your switches. Alright, so there we go. So I have this other one on here lined up, and I'm just gonna blast it really quick. Get that heat shrunk around it, and as you can see, now that bottom part is going to be, non-conductive, so we shouldn't have any issues with putting those screws in there. So I'm going to do, I believe it was 3 of them. All right, we have the 1 down in the bottom and 1 at the top. It might have just been the 2, but I'll do a 3rd one just in case. That way I don't have to go back and do more. And I'll show you the board that we're building in a second, once I get this one done. Ooh, where'd that go? So again, this is probably a weird way of doing it. You can buy washers and all that out there. I was just not quite prepared for this build, and Dr. Doomapple brought up the shorting issue, and then I noticed that the screws did contact multiple sides on the LED sockets. So we are just doing some taking some preventive action here. Cool, and that should do it. Got 3 screws. Nice covered up. Shouldn't be too hot, but that'll work. I don't know if you can see them, but now they're fully insulated. Let me grab that board for you so you can see it. So the board I am putting together is by TX Keyboards, and it is a TXCP. And as soon as I get this down, boom. So it is almost a full-size keyboard. It's what's known as an 1800 layout, but this one's also compact, so there's no spacing on the top rows. So it's one row shorter over by the numpad, but then there's usually a massive gap here. So there would be a full key gap here, and then this function row would actually be up here along with this. So this one just shrinks the size, compacts it this way, and yeah. So this is what we're building. And it's basically it's a 2-piece kit. So it's got the top shroud piece, and you have this beautiful, beautiful plate. This is a PVD coated brass plate, aka fingerprint magnet. And then the bottom piece, which is where all the heft is, and also has a massive brass weight on it. And I hope my hands are clean enough and I'm not staining it. This board was a limited edition board that they made towards the end of last year. So not very many white ones. And they did have issues. They were having quality issues with the painting. This is a special type of painting. I don't think it's Cerakote, but it's also not powder coat. So it's a very thin coat. So if I don't take care of it, it will most likely get scratched. But hopefully not. Let's get back to it. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and put the stabilizers on here. I'm going to start with the ones that I know where they go. We got left shift over here. So the big end snaps in. Boom, boom. And we'll come around. This one doesn't contact anything, so I am not concerned with shorting anything out. If I can find the screwdriver, there we go. Then I can go ahead and just screw these in. And these, if you've never done the GMK ones, they don't require a whole lot of torque. You'll kind of feel, it's just a plastic thread. So as soon as you feel that it stops moving, that's it, it's tight enough. So they don't require a whole lot of torque. I just like to hand tighten them, and then boom. Let's say I'll switch back to action cam. You can see there, like I said, there will be some excess lube from packing that in there, and they're good. So we're gonna keep doing those. Let's see, I'm gonna grab my phone real quick. Oh, seems like I missed the Clack Happens event. If any of you are into artisans, that just happened. And let's see. I'm gonna keep going over here. So I have to do left shift. There is no right shift, but there is enter. This is the regular ANSI enter right here. get that in there. Alright, so we'll switch over so I can show you guys. This one is where we were seeing that there's the issue with the contact. So if you can see right there is one of the screw holes for the stabilizer. So I'm gonna grab one of these dandy little insulated screws we just made. I'm gonna tighten that in there. That should prevent me from having any issues. Cool, so that's nice and tight. I'll show you again. Let's see, so right there, as you can see, the screw sits in between the two sockets for the LEDs, if I were to install the LEDs, which I won't. But yeah, so the head of the screw was contacting, could have been contacting both of those, and caused a short. So by doing that little adding the little heat shrink on there, insulated the screw and prevented any issues. Cool, so that's another one in. I'm gonna check what feels good. Yeah, so they're still a tiny bit rattly. I will go on and add a little bit more lube before we pop this on. But I'm gonna continue. Another bunch, so let's see. Not doing a split backspace, so we gotta do a backspace stabilizer. That one's right here. Let's pop that on. Cool. So that's going right there. So just make sure that's sitting flush. Then this side does contact where the switch goes a little bit, but there is nowhere else for it to short, so I am not concerned with this one. If it is an issue later down the line, it will not be a hard fix at all. Boom. So that one's flush, and that is our backspace. And now I'm gonna move over to our plus and enter keys. So there's our enter key. Elite Emperor, welcome to the stream. So the board I'm building today is a TX keyboards, compact 1800 layout. So this is a Liku Compact L3 PCB. It is not one that we offer. This is kind of like a. I bought the keyboard, and then we're using one of keyboard's parts to put it together. So we got the stabilizers, the switches, and the keycaps that I got all through one of keyboards that I'll be putting together. So right now we're just on the stabilizers, but like many of our keyboard builds, there's a fully programmable board. I believe I have the option to go QMK at a later point. Although the Liku stuff is just jig on, which a lot of people don't like. I don't mind it. Gets the job done. Honestly, when I have a larger keyboard like this where I have all the keys, I don't find much need to do any programming on the board. Cool. Alright, so those are nice and tight. Got one more over here. And go ahead and screw that in. Alright, and the only thing left is our spacebar. Now we are using a 7U spacebar. I think I'm going to stick with it. If I don't like it, too bad. Right? Let me look. Let me look at layouts. I'm a little worried that I don't like the aesthetics of using the 7U on here. Just using my phone. I guess I could use the computer and show you guys, but I don't know how that works. There is a setup somewhere. Everything tested overhead. No. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how to get a screen cap. But yeah, so I'm trying to go through here and find the different setups that people have used. Oh, there it is here. I'm going to show you guys on action cam over here as I'm going through these. So if you can't see, this person did a very crazy split spacebar. I don't need to do anything like that. That is too much. But then here, so my choices are between using a 7U spacebar and doing partial Sangan layout, which will be 1.5, 1, 1.5, 7U spacebar, and then a 1 and 1. Or I could do this, where it's 1 1/4, 1 1/4, 1 1/4, 6 1/4 spacebar, and then 1.5 and 1.5 from the looks of it. What do you guys think? Elite Emperor, this PCB that I am using does not have hot swappable sockets. Again, this is not one of the keyboards from our shop, oneofkeyboards.com, but we do offer hot swappable. Right now, we offer it in a 60% size. So we offer it in this style keyboard, and I will show you the. So this is the One-Up Keyboards HSE, which stands for Hot Swap Edition, and this is in a standard ANSI layout. And we'll switch back here. Boom. And if you can tell, got these little black sockets over here, and those are spring-loaded sockets that allow you to do the hot swapping of the switch. I did the demo earlier. So make sure you put pressure behind the hot swap socket to prevent it from popping off. And then boom, you can install your switch. This is, as soon as you have all of those in there, plug this in, this keyboard is ready to rock. You do have the ability to put LEDs in, but then you lose that hot swap ability. And these do come with RGB underglow. So depending on your case, you'll able to see light shining on your desk. But yeah, and then these switches we were using for my build, These are Helio switches, so they're a silent linear switch. See, very quiet. And I'll be putting those on the board we are building. But no, the board I'm building does not have the hot swap sockets. This one does. You can find that on oneupkeyboards.com. Move this out of the way again. Hot swappable is the future today. Yeah, I mean, we are. The only problem is we did have some issues with sockets. They tend to pop off if they are not soldered in properly. They require a lot of solder. But yeah, they are. It is the future. I don't think the solder boards will ever really go away. Just because enough people. One, because of costs. It's much simpler to just manufacture a solder board. And two, because a lot of the people that like to build boards also do it as a hobby. Like, I like to solder. So I don't have an issue with it. Like, if I have the tools, I don't have an issue soldering a board. Some people don't. And that's when hot swap comes in handy for that. So it just allows, the hobby of custom built keyboards to reach a wider audience where there is no entry level barrier on having to own a soldering iron and the rest of the tools needed to put the keyboard together. You just get everything in and you are good to go. Alright, so this is another one where there was the possibility of a short on the LED. I'll show you guys right here. So this one right here, as you can see, the hole for the screw in sits right in between two LED pads. So I've gone ahead and added heat shrink to the head of my screws to insulate them and prevent any future issues. I think I'm gonna stick with the 7U. If I regret it, I regret it, and then whatever. You live another day. I'm honestly not too concerned. I think both are lose-lose because it is not going to be a it's simply there is no symmetry on that bottom row. Exactly, Frankenstein. What if you are schizophrenic and one of your 27 personalities likes clicky switches and then the other one likes linear switches? You gotta be able to switch that up, right? Why get multiple keyboards when you can just hot swap? Alright, this needs more lube. Almost all of these need a little more lube, I think. Methinks. Sometimes they're extra rattly until they have a key in there too. But let's go ahead and get that on there. Cool. Let me get my phone out of here. so that is that. I was gonna see if I can get more lube in here. Sorry, I was just sending a text message. It looks like there's plenty of lube in there. I think I'm okay. If they get rattly, I'll do it at a later time. The initial lubing is the important part. Cool. So the next step now is start popping switches on this sucker. So let me get the plate. So this is our plate. I'm gonna wipe it down real quick because I have a little bit of lube in my fingers and I've been leaving fingerprints on it from showing you guys. This keyboard does include a nice little cleaning rag. It's a nice little microfiber. Honestly, could use this for cleaning camera lenses. There are still some sharp edges on here, so I'm trying to be careful not to catch anything. Cool. So then the first step I'm going to do, I'm going to grab a handful of switches, and these are south facing LEDs. I'm going to pop them in. This is going to help us align the keyboard. The plate with the PCB. So I'm going to do most of the corners. These different parts. Just try to space them out. This is a big keyboard. And again, if you're just joining the stream, you're building a custom keyboard using silent linear switches. These are Seal Helios, or a brand new switch available from oneupkeyboards.com. I see a shark fighting guy with jeans. What up? Alright, that should be enough to get this lined up. So I'm going to take this plate, I'm going to put it face down. I'm going to take the PCB and line some of these suckers up. I'll make sure I'm pressing them down so everything's nice and tight, and that'll make my life way easier when I go pop in the rest of the switches. Since I am, even though this is plate mounted, I am leaving the switches on with their PCB mounted legs, simply because I can. This PCB is not so tight that these get in the way. So for those that aren't familiar with it, you see these extra clear legs on here. Those are PCB mount legs. When you're using a plate, they are not required. There are boards that only use a PCB, they have no plate. And that's when you would need those. Those provide you extra mounting points, so they guide the switches, so they don't, so they're not crooked, that kind of stuff. I tested the PCB before, Dr. Doom Apple. I haven't done it on stream. I mean, I could. Like I said, I've been playing with this PCB for a little while. But I can go, we can do that. Let me see, where is his USB cable? Let's see, USB cable for this test. Nope, that's not a good one. Is this a good one? Here we go. Alright. just to show you what you should probably be doing. If I can find the tweezers. There we go. So I'm going to put this down here. So the way to test if the PCB works is, yeah. I mean, I'll retest it. I have no issue. Plug it into power. Make sure everything is good. Yeah, so that's already a good sign. We got the RGB firing up, and then this should be a bunch of U's. There, I just hit U. Where's the enter key? That's ISO enter and enter there. So I just sent that. So no worries, man. There we go. So I know that the PCB is fully functional, but that is how you test it. So you would plug it in. You want to short the two connections on the switch. And that'll give you an idea. If you want to be very stringent, I would go through and test the columns. So basically go across the top row if you really want to be cautious that everything's working. But as long as I'm getting some reading, knowing that the PCB is already programmed, like you can see there, then you're good to go. So we are doubly sure that this is a working PCB, so we are gonna continue going. And so I've got a couple switches in here. This thing is holding together nicely. So now I have nothing to do but pop switches in. These aren't too bad. So yeah, I'm thankful this PCB does not have super tight PCB mounting holes. Otherwise, trying to do this can be a huge headache, but we're avoiding that today. So if you guys want to take a water break, got about 100, I think. Is it a full 108? It's a little less than 108, I think, that fit into here. But yeah, I'm gonna be doing a bunch. And once I get all of these in, I'll flip this over. I will press from the back side just to make sure that everything is in all the way, and then we'll get the soldering iron started and start soldering. I think solder cam is functional, so we'll be able to do some solder cam. So if you guys are new to keyboard building, it's not difficult. It's just time consuming. Honestly, most of the quote unquote difficult stuff comes from all the different mods that the community has come up to enhance the keyboards. So like switch lubing, stab lubing, basically lubing everything, because you know, lube is good, wetter is better. Although don't get your keyboards wet, that'll most likely cause some sort of issue. once I get all these in there, Dr. Doomapple, do I use a heavier spring for space? Sometimes I've been less stickler about that, especially with like 67 grams. It usually is fine for the most part. I wouldn't go any less than this. So if I had a lighter overall keyboard, like switch, I probably would swap the springs on the space. But I don't have an issue if I find that I'm resting on it too much and all that stuff. With 67 gram switch, I'll probably go to an 80 gram spring on space. That's about it. Yeah, so short answer of that is sometimes, but only if using lighter switches. Once you get into the heavier switches, it becomes less of an issue. Yeah. Yeah, so really, as far as like on my builds, like I rarely do anything under 60 grams for switches. I have 150 gram boards and 80 gram boards. 80 grams is probably my preferred weight as far as like overall feel, but the heavier boards do sometimes cause fatigue, especially when I'm on them all day. Like I have no problem with the 150 gram board, but you do feel it after a little while. Oh, this one's strangely twisted. Does it fit in here though? There we go. Cool. You know, after 150 grams, like I've tried 180 gram springs, and it's like I just doesn't really feel that much heavier. Like I feel like you have to make an exponential jump to really, really feel the heavier springs. Or where those heavier springs and switches really start to get to me is actually on the mods. Just anytime you have to use the pinky, it's like, man, 150 just feels awful. And even sometimes having such heavy springs on the spacebar causes me issues where like it's not like you have to hit it more dead on. Like the stabilizers don't do as good of a job on those heavier ones. Just a heads up, I am going to do a stepped caps lock. So the switch is going to go far in on the left. But I've typed on, somebody had 200 at either a KeyCon or something. The one, and I can do it in linear, no problem. The ones that actually surprised me were nice, Frankenstein. Are you just gonna rock just plain clears, Halo clears, or are you planning on doing some Holy Pandas at some point? Oof, 500 gram bottom out is intense. Yeah, like that's a next step. That's like once you're in the 150 like range, it's like 180 to like 200. I don't think you feel it. The ones that, as I was trying to say before, the thing that really got me at the last event I was at were the really, really heavy Topper domes, like the BKE Redux, like Extreme or whatever. Yo, those things, there's just something about them that, like the Topro feel and those switches, like I would never, like I love heavy, but I would never. And I think it's just because the way the dome, like, it's so hard to press and then it just buckles, versus a Cherry MX linear with a super heavy spring where it's just like basically a continuous press. Man, those domes were gnarly. little over halfway there. Bottom row doesn't have that many switches. Yeah, I'm doing the opposite. I got somebody who's got a board with Cherry MX clears, who thinks they're too heavy. So I'm basically putting 40 gram springs in them, but I'll be picking that up later this week from another member of the community that's local to me, just kind of as a fun little side project. But it's a Ducky 1, so I have to desolder in order to open the switches, if I'm correct. I've never actually played on one of those boards, so I'm not 100% sure, so I'm excited just to check it out. It's crazy, like when I got into keyboards, I basically jumped in right into custom keyboards. So I've never had the pleasure of owning a Ducky or never owned a poker. Like my first board was a 60%, but it was a GH60 build. So yeah, Emma looking fancy. You know it. I'm building that fancy brass keyboards over here. There's lots of Helios. I wonder when he's gonna run out of Helios names. We got the Celios, the Telios, the Helios. What else makes sense with an Helios name? I mean, the Silence were a nice little change that worked out pretty well. But yeah, everything else is just gonna be funky. Alright, I don't really remember how this bottom row goes. I think I have to do this one, and then the farther one out is the only one that fits. So these two will be one use. Yep, that looks correct. And then I believe this is the hole for M, so that is the, wait a second. M, yes. So the theme of this build is Bouette. It's a little late. A meme is dead. But it's just to show you guys the board that I am building it in is a white board. And this is the purple for the keys that I'm using. So yeah, little Bouette build. It's perfect. Thank you, Philip. Yeah, so I'll be doing a Ducky 1, 2, I think. Yeah, Ducky 1 version 2 is what I'll be. I have a member of the community in New York that needs some mods done. They're not super comfortable doing it themselves, so I will be helping them out. It's a full theme board, So I'm sure if you guys haven't noticed, I am on a, I think it's almost a minute delay. So chat and what I'm saying might feel a little disconnected, but I don't remember which one goes where. One of these is 1.5, and the center one is a 1. So I think I need to pop this sucker out, move it over. There we go. Doesn't look right, but we'll figure it out when we go put the switches on. Somebody's texting me. So, all right. Yeah, that's what I figured. All right. What else am I trying to do here? Oh yeah, so I gotta figure out the spacing on that. So I'm gonna dump some of these out real quick. I always forget where these need to go. So the spacebar. Goes there. Yeah, Philip, there is so many layouts. Some might say there's way too many layouts at this point. So, what's that? That doesn't seem right. That looks like it's gotta go over one. It really is all about the quest for the perfect layout. I mean, everybody's always trying to come up with something new. But some of these, so this is based on like a very old layout for a working keyboard, made by Cherry, which was the 1800 layouts. And then this one's just a compact version. So it's kind of like, you know, keep that old keyboard look alive. I'm just grabbing a random key here to check my spacing. So this needs to be over. But yeah, you're constantly seeing new layouts. Some people are just trying to go smaller, and then some people just want to get funky with it. So you have whatchamacallit, just different ergo, all kinds of stuff. I'm trying to find another 1.5 to double check the spacing on this one corner. Not seeing any. I know it's in here. There's only one more. That's why I'm not finding one. Nope. There's our step caps lock though. I'm not seeing another 1.5. What's going on here? One of you is. There we go. Boy. And so I just need to make sure that, so that fits there, no problem. And then I just want to make sure that this left shift is lined up. That's not the right one. So this is a GMK set, so they are Cherry profile keys, so they're one of the lower profiles. It's probably the most common profile. Yeah, alright, so this all lines up. So this is what I was talking about, the bottom row earlier. These are not the right keys, but I just wanted to show. So, where I will have these two larger ones with a little one here, and then just two little ones here. But that gives me the larger space bar, so I think it's okay. It's not. This board itself, this bottom row is kind of weird. The options are limited, so I don't. Can't get that out. Let me grab this switch puller. Actually, yeah, I can show you. I'll show you the profile in a second on the other cam. Oh, dang it. That just messed me up. I pulled the switch out with a cap. I don't know where it was. That's your hole. Stay in your hole. Thank you. You too. Stay in your hole. And you can come with me. I don't care. I know where you go. Boom. Dr. Doom Apple, you want artisans? I have a whole box of artisans that you guys can pick which one I can put on. I know which one I want to put on, but you guys can pick. Here, give me a second. I think I left them downstairs. Do you like artisans? I like artisans. So, I think I'm gonna go with my epoxy skull. Oh, we can check. It's not the... So the SA one doesn't, but this one's actually not too far off. Yeah, it's a little dark. Here, let me switch cameras. So this is a full aluminum machined cap. This is old. I've had this cap for 2 or 3 years and it's been in constant use. You can see actually some of the coating has started to wear off, but I'll put it next to, that's it, next to the lighter Taro keycap, and that's next to the darker, so it's not quite a match. The keycap I really want to use is this ugly boy. So this is a Me Popsy Skull made by Hungerworks Studios. If you guys know Binge, he is a fantastic artist. And this one's actually closer, plus the color of the cap with the orange and the purple is the Helios with Terra. So this is what I was planning on using. Kind of another connect to this build. But yeah. But here, I'll go through over here so you guys can get sort of a better look. Where did I just put that? No, that's not where it's supposed to be. No, I must have moved the keycap earlier. I don't know where it went. But anyways, if you can tell what my favorite sculpt is, I have a bunch of them. And yeah, there's always more. There's no end to artisans these days. But, all right, let's switch back to the overhead. Yeah, I've been growing this collection for a few years now. It's a lot of fun. It's very expensive, but it's a lot of fun. Honestly, other than just having the caps, the best part of collecting artisans is meeting other members of the community. Not just building the keyboards, but like the artisan community is it's pretty tight knit. There's a lot of people that are just in it to flip the caps because they are valuable, but there are some really great people, and it's just awesome. Yeah, the Rama caps are I really like the Rama caps, and like I've had, I have a bunch. I have like a Seattle limited edition one that's in there, and I have that one's like that First Metal one is like 1 out of like 20 when he did his first run. So I really like them, and I have like the 2 SA waves and all that stuff. The problem is the color matching. The color matching on his caps is not made to match anything, so it doesn't really work. And I've built boards that are just mishmashes. Like I have a lot of purple caps, so I don't mind if I just have a mishmash of purples, but if I just want to have one cap, then it doesn't really work. And that's when it's like, meh. It's like, they're cool, they're expensive, but then they also don't match with anything. And while CNCing and all that stuff is really, really cool, and Rama is a super, super talented designer, they're just not as good as some of these the handmade stuff. By the way, for you guys on chat, if you don't know, M is a newcomer to the chat. She is actually the artist that made this sticker. She is not a YouTube streamer, but she does stream on Twitch. If you want to plug yourself, M, you can go right ahead. I don't think there is any limitations on links, and if there are, Dr. Doom Apple should be able to allow it. And I'm just clearing these out because I am getting ready to solder the switches on. And I don't want, yeah, see, I always fall for the colors, Dr. Doom. It's like I just want the colors, and then I get them and it's like, gosh darn it. It's like, it's red, but it's not like any red that matches anything. Alright, so I have this. I'm gonna put these switches on the side so we have everything we need. These are all pressed in nicely. Yeah, while I take a break, I'll let you guys look at the sticker. Do super plug on here. That's all her stuff. I have to get water for the soldering iron and I have to heat it up. Is this not on? Alexa, turn on the soldering iron.
Okay.
There we go. Cool. And I'm back. Just gotta load some water into the sponge for a while, way too much, or whatever. That's for me. Did you know I like these stickers, Em? Alright, so the soldering iron's heating up right now. I'm gonna try to get all this junk out of the way. Yeah, if you're not familiar with Pete's streams, he loves home automation, so everything on here is damn connected to everything. So if I go, Alexa, turn off the studio.
Okay.
Yeah, that happens. Alexa, turn on the studio.
Okay.
Yeah, it's intense. The problem is that then everything's automated. There's no switches anywhere. So it's always like trying to remember all the codes for all the names of everything in this house is freaking insane. It's like I could turn the TV on and off, switch channels from here. And of course, the FBI is listening. So, hi Trump. Alright, let's see if this thing is hot. It seems like it's hot. Yep, that's hot enough. yeah, it does. I mean, the Alexa thing does come in pretty. I wasn't
Sorry, I don't know that.
But yeah, it can be useful if you're into it. All right, so for you guys that are new to the stream, there is a solder cam. So there is a camera attached to this soldering iron, and I hope it's focused because I don't have the focus thing up. And no, that's not the right one. That's the right one. It's kind of focusing. I have not soldered in a while, so don't judge. Yeah, that's pretty good. It's working all right. Yeah, those stickers were made, well, I guess M can say, they were made during the time that the meme was at its peak. I actually got to meet at New York Comic Con when One Up Keyboards was there, so that's where I grabbed my stickers from her. So I've been sitting on these for a while. I bought like, I don't know, like 10 sets that I gave out to a bunch of people too, because they were awesome. And I apologize if I'm quiet now, just soldering concentration. I'm blocking too much of the light here. Enjoy that marinara sauce. I will catch you later. Thanks for stopping by, Em. So as I was mentioning earlier, there are a couple LEDs that can be used for some of the keys for like caps locks and all that stuff. And I've never had a keyboard. Well, that's not true. I have a duck. I have a duck Raven. Not Raven. What am I talking about? I have a duck Viper that has the LEDs on the top that signify which layers and functions you're using. But this one has three. I believe it's one's for macros, one's for caps locks, one's for number lock. I haven't decided what colors to make them. I imagine I might use UV. No, they're not very bright, but they will match the keyboard very well. So I might do that. This needs a quick little lip here. Sorry about that. Oh, thanks a lot, Dr. Doomapple. Definitely make sure you stop by for some of M's streams. They are a lot of fun, and her art is awesome. Alright, this is going pretty quickly. Sometimes I have issues with this camera, but with this soldering iron, but today it's done pretty good. Sorry about that. Alright. Yeah, it took a while to get used to it. It's just the grip. I don't know if you can see like how far back I'm holding it on the overhead. It's like I have one finger over like the little mount that's on it. Here, let me switch. So like, yeah, like it's hefty for sure. Like it's just like it's a drilled aluminum mount beam that's sort of just strapped on here, and then all the way to the cameras up front. So if you're not, the first couple times, like one, if you're off balance, then it starts to like really tire you out. So like keeping the whole thing top and center is super crucial to best experience. Otherwise, the damn thing's just all over the place. Switch back to solder cam. Boom. It's worth it though. I mean, using this the camera, like obviously solder cam is a huge part of Pete's streams, and not, you know, it's one of his originals, to be honest. Like, I think I've seen some other people do it, but way after the Ski with Pete solder cam had been introduced. And yeah, not important. Nobody's rocking 4K solder cam, to be honest. The only downside is that if you're not doing a good job, which is sometimes hard to do with this thing, man, you are showing everybody off how bad your solders are, so really got to keep it together. I did build a Super 16, and I didn't get it fully working yet. I think the third or fourth LED on the line, like from the top, is not right, so it's not. The rest of them are not firing. I saw yours though. You got yours fully working, man. Congrats. I didn't have the thing with the Super 16s is that I don't have a problem soldering them. My issue was a temperature issue with the LEDs, I believe. Because I can solder up real quick, and like I said, like I don't know if you were on the stream, I was telling Pete, you know, just how to lay it down, so you can get those LEDs flat. Because that, like, once I did that, I was like, oh, this is gonna be cake, and it does make a huge difference. But yeah, again, temperature control on that is critical, because those LEDs, just the plastic on them just instantly just melts if you're even a tiny bit too hot and put any pressure on the pad. What did you do in order to test them? Because I had tested continuity from like the beginning, because that was my concern, was just continuity. That's why I think it's heat damage. Because I could check continuity on like the ground and all that stuff through the chain. So from the very first LED, because it goes in serial. So I could test all the way through. I could definitely check continuity through it, but yeah, I wasn't as cautious as I should have been with my temps. You know, like I could tell you right away, like I definitely melted a little bit of the thing. So ones that I thought were gonna be damaged were not. But yeah, it was less than stellar. They are super nifty though with RGB, and I think, thank goodness we have Milky switches. We still have we don't still have. We have the new version of Gateron Milkies in stock, and I think those just Milky switches are so much better for RGB lighting than I think clear switches. I think if you have the right setup, clear switches are fine, but just the way Milkies diffuse, I think, is far superior. Where am I? There we go. Oh, interesting. You tested it that way. Okay. That's pretty interesting. Alright, I think this is getting a little too hot. Sorry about the camera. Yeah, we might have to devise a way to test. It's like I just don't know what's like a easy way to recommend to people on the Discord for support. But yeah, like I said, I really don't think it's that hard. I think Pete was having trouble with the paste. I'm not too familiar with paste myself, and I don't know how many times he's used that before, if that was his first time. I just felt like that was getting real messy. But man, if you have those LEDs flat, like, it's way easy to just get in there real quick, and they'll connect. But alas, I do not have a fully working Super 16. I am not elite. I think we are just about done here. What do you guys think? Should I just do a UV? It won't matter. Should I do UV LEDs or should I do different colors? The UVs are like light bluish purple. Now you used a flex pen. Okay. Yeah, I did not. Just my temperature. I don't have fancy stuff at home. So I definitely know I was at least at like 250, which utterly decimated the freaking LEDs. All right, let me get out of this camera. Let me clean this real quick. I'm just gonna some on here. I'm gonna let me see if I can take a look at here real quick. So that top row looks good. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Second row looks good. Third row. Fourth row. Fifth row looks good. Cool, I got everything. Alright. You did mention that. Cool, everything seems alright. Looking at some of these lower switches, they might be a little crooked actually. I hope that's not the case. Alright, so that's that. I'm gonna run downstairs and grab those LEDs, and I'll be right back. Let's hold the fort down. We got 9 viewers. Guys, make sure to give us a thumbs up. I'll be right back. I'm back. Hey, Vinod Kanoni. Hello, hello. Thank you for stopping by. We're getting to the final stretch of building this keyboard. It is a TXCP, so made by TX Keyboards. And I'm having a brain fart now. The longer leg is the positive, right? I think. Can somebody confirm that on chat for me? The longer leg on the LED is the positive, and the shorter is the negative. Okay, look it up on my phone too. Might be quicker than waiting for you guys. Yeah, the longer is the positive. That's what I thought. That is correct. Confirmed with the interwebs. Sometimes just too many brain farts. Luckily, it's also labeled on the PCB, which makes it super, super easy. But I did go with ultraviolet LED. So we got UV LEDs, which will match the rest of the look. These are easy to access. It won't require me to sort of mess with anything else to get them desoldered if I decide to change my mind on colors. I could have also SIP socketed them, but I rarely ever change my mind on builds. And even if I did, UV works just fine. Alright. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. And luckily Pete has a thinner one in here too. Alright, I'm not even going to bother with the cam here. I'm just going to get this in. Jesus, this thin stuff just bends everywhere. Oh, is this thing on a timer? Alexa, turn on the
What device?
soldering iron.
Okay.
Aha, it was on a timer. Interesting. Well, thank God that didn't catch us while we were actually soldering. I was like, why is this thing cool? Well, that's gonna take a minute here, guys. Or not so much. The thing is, must have just switched off when I stepped away. That's one. Stop it. This is when solder cam, like the camera, the physical camera, gets a little annoying. Cool. Alright, so that's in. No problem. And give it the old blob on there to cover it. And I'll turn it off. That should do it for this. We'll get in here. Play some musical LEDs. Snips right over here. I'm going to coil these back a bit. I'm getting in my way. Well, the next thing will be, I guess, can lay it on the base and test it before putting the caps on. Sounds like a good idea. Alright, so all the hard work is done. Let me get this base up. Actually, my hands are clean. I'm like super concerned that I'm gonna eventually stain this white case, but it is what it is. I didn't even look how the LEDs look up top if they're aligned. LEDs look good. Oh, here's this mammoth of a base. Push this back a bit. Lay this in here. Cool. And yeah, let's get a cable going. Alright, so the RGB still works. Well, you can barely see it, but there it is. On and off on the caps lock. I don't know what numlock is programmed to, and I don't know which one is programmed to. Well, that's Windows over here. Cool. So it is working. It is pretty much done. I'm going to unplug it because I want to trigger anything else. I'm going to screw it together. I'm going to put the top plate on, the top surround. I only have 4 of the screws. I accidentally left a bag of screws, but luckily I have these 4. So we'll be able to get that on there pretty steady. And yeah, so I'm going to let me get these tools together. I have to do a long extension to get 2 of these. So. It's a shame that this keyboard doesn't have at least like a little RGB like sort of a window on the base. Really would have been nice. Just because it's a TX made with a liquid PCB, like those guys, they're even different. Well, they are a different person, but they work together so much in their community that it just, when they don't support all the functions for a PCB, it just seems weird to me. No, the screws are over here, actually. So this thing uses 4 machine screws. I am going to flip this over onto its little cloth thinger. I don't want it to get any sort of scratches or dirt on it. Let's see if I can do this in a not so derpy way. Alright, let's use spray. Yep, drop the tools that I need. And cool. Alright, so like I said, all I got are 4 screws, and the rest are at home, so I will complete this later. But super smooth machine screws on this thing. This is what really shows the quality on this keyboard. It's just how smooth, and I'm going crisscross just because I have these 4. Like there is no. It's just effortless to get these to screw in. And was that it? That's all 4? No, I don't think I did this one. Yeah, like I don't know if you guys can tell just how effortless that was. I'll double check since I went around. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Sweet. cups around. Get that out of the way. And now it's time for keycaps. Alright. Well, because I was impatient and I took them out of their case, and now I have them in a bag, I'm going to have to hunt for these keys. But I will, however, start... Sorry, I'm just getting a hair out of that. I will start with the longer keys. The stabilized keys will be easier to find. It's got a little bit of a rattle in it. Actually, not terrible. That one will definitely be the loudest because of just how much wire is in there. And this is this to you over here. Keycaps! Yes. Keycaps are going on. For those of you not familiar with keyboard keycaps, this is what I will be putting on is the GMK Taro set. It was designed by two members of the community, Philip Wade and Alex Pank. It's awesome key set. Cool guys too. I've talked with Alex a ton. He's super chill dude. But yeah, we were super happy to support them. As some of you may know, One Up Keyboards sold their... we had the key sets in stock, so we bought a bunch of extras from their group buy, which we then sold on the site. Why is that one so loud? I'll double check that later. It's alright, I'm barely going to use that plus key. Alright. Just going through the larger keys first. Trying to find that anner. Where's the anner at? Caps lock. This will be right control. Left out. Little banner kit. I'm not seeing the anarchy. Is the anarchy hiding in there? No. Oh, I'm dumb. There you are. Oh, that's never good. Why was that stuck? Alright. Cool. That one will need... Yeah, I'll probably add more lube later. But the ones that don't need lube are super quiet. Cool. So now commences the fun. The way I wanted to do this layout, I'll do the lead up here. Let's do the arrows real quick since I'm using a different color. So these are the alternate colors on this Taro set. There's basically the purples, then they have this green with the purples, and there are some couple of yellow keycaps as well. I don't have them with me. They do have a novelty set, and the novelty sets actually have the little Taro cup artwork on them, but those are back at home in Philly. So I'll put those on when I get back, and then I'll post some pictures online. But here on out. Alright. Just trying to flip everything over so I can see what it is I'm doing. If anybody that's built more than a couple keyboards, it's not that hard to remember the QWERTY pattern, so we'll do it in order. And here's what I ended up doing. So for this bottom row, since I did a larger spacebar, I get two little keys over here, which I will probably change with the little Taro keys that I have at home. And those will be my function keys. That way I can change to what's programmed on the keyboard. Almost done flipping these over. Cool. And this is a little code key that goes on here. Great. And there should be another code key. Cool, so that's this bottom row. Great. I was concerned that was going to be crooked, but it doesn't look crooked to me. Alright, and now I don't have an escape key because we'll be putting on the artisan cap that I showed you guys, which I'll go ahead and grab it. A little popsy skull and put him over here. And can't forget little Bouette. Alright. Or we'll do the function keys. So I have 3. I have 4. There's F1. 7. 6. 12. Numbers. So no. Might as well also do this side. Trying to remember, yeah, big 0, then period on this. Cool. And more numbers. Where are my numbers at? 8, 5, 4, and 6. Well, let me check out that picture real quick. Oh boy, you did the whole atmel yourself. That's nice. That looks very clean. Well done. I'm not quite there on soldering yet. Pretty good just doing the regular through the hole stuff, but I do need to get more serious, get serial about it. Alright, I'll do these numbers up here. At this point, I'm just going to go as I find the keys. Come on. I can never do the bottom row without doing those first. Dope. I think this isn't programmed how the board is right now, but I think, no, damn, I don't remember what the order for these are. I don't do these very often. The rest I know by heart. I think it's minus and then this way. Whatever, we'll flip it if it's wrong. I wanted this to be print, home end, scroll lock. All right, and the final touch. I don't know if you can see it. We'll switch back on here. It's a little boy. And there he is. And we'll switch back. Just put him in there. And that's a fully built keyboard. We did it. Yay. So yeah, that is the Bouette build. And now I will go ahead and type on it for you guys. So this is TXCP brass plate. The brand new Helios. They are lubed with Tribosys 3204. Stock springs, soldered in, GMK Taro, Hungerworks Studio Pops a Skull. I don't remember the name of the colorway, but here it goes. So that needs a little love. That one needs a little love too. Sweet. I will, just so you guys can see the noise, the sound difference. I have this board that I've previously built. So this is a regular TKL. And this has Telio. So this is the silent version of the exact same switch that's in here. So I'm trying to look at here at the dBs on the monitor. So the Telios, which are non-silenced, these are also lubed. So I'm peaking around negative 35 and negative 30 decibels. And now I'm going to move up to these. So with these, I'm picking at about negative 45 decibels. So they're a full 10 decibels quieter, which is more than half, less than half the noise. So that is the big difference with silence versus non-silent switches. So if you have an office space, while this isn't loud, I mean, this is ridiculously quiet. Sweet, I'm gonna put the artisan that belongs in this one. This is Terry Flapp's Type Beast by Gaff. If I can get this to focus. There we go. Probably one of the most ridiculous sculpts ever. Those eyes popping out. Yeah. But this guy belongs on here. This is where he lives. All right, and that pretty much does it for me today. Thanks everybody that stopped by. Dr. Doom, you were here from the beginning. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Emily, thanks for stopping by. Had a couple other people that were on here. Thank you guys again for hanging out for the Bouette build. And I'll see you again soon. Make sure you check out the One Up Keyboards website. Sign up for newsletter for new products. We got tons of stuff coming out. And yeah, that is all, guys. Thank you very much. Everybody have a great night. And I'll see you again this week. I'll be taking over the stream again while Pete's on vacation. So I'm sure I have to desolder this board. So you'll see me take this board apart later this week. Later. And I don't know where the end the stream page is. Huzzah.